Okay, so I want to show you the use of the AWS CDK, Cloud Development Kit, and I've already put together a small service using it, which uses simple queue service, SQS, to send messages to a Lambda function that then writes it to a log. I've got a single stack, and I want to show you what it looks like. So here I've got my Lambda function. You see the Lambda sign here. I've got an SQS messaging, and I've got Amazon CloudWatch logs and Amazon SQS that are monitoring this. Okay, let's see first how it works. So let's go to the services. Let me squish this. So if I go to the simple queue services here and select send a message. So let's do, here is my first message, John. And I'll send that message, which is down on the screen here. Send the message. Okay. So we've sent the message. The Lambda function will be informed. We've tied the message queue to the Lambda function, so it gets the events, and the Lambda function will write it to the logs. So let's go back and look at our Lambda function. And this is, we want to select it here. And let's view the CloudWatch logs. And so here you see we've got a log. Let's click on it. But if I scroll down on the logs, this should be the last log that I just wrote. And if we scroll down on that, we'll see the message. Here is my first message from John, the body of the message. Let me now take you through how we programmed this. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm in the Visual Studio editor, and here I'm looking at, I've got a folder here called SMS Lambda, and when we load the CDK, we can do a CDK init that will actually create all these directories, a bin directory and a lib directory. And in the lib directory, we can choose what language to use. I'm using TypeScript here, and this is the file that we're going to program against. And what we need to do is, and I'll come back and show you the details of this, but we import the CDK, and we import the AWS SQS system and the AWS Lambda, and also something called Lambda event sources. Okay, so how do we import those? Well, we just use the npm, and if I do a cat on the package.json, you'll see that I've imported AWS Lambda, AWS SQS, the CDK, and also there's something else here, source map support. Okay, so this is the normal npm type process, and once we've loaded the npm, let me just show you the I want to show you how we do that. Let me clear this window. And so, for example, we can do npm install. The CDK is called @AWS-CDK, and then let's suppose we want to import the Lambda. That's AWS-CDK Lambda. Okay, so I've already got it installed, but this is how we would install it, just the normal way. So here we see we've got these things. So now we need to program, and when you do a CDK init to set up all these files, and like I say, I'll come back and go through that with you. But now we can create a message queue. So here we're creating a queue, SQS queue, and it takes a couple of parameters. In this case, this is going to create a tree of resources, and we have this, and I call it hello queue. This is arbitrary. We'll see it later. And now we create a Lambda function. So here's my Lambda function. We tell it the runtime that this function is going to run on is node, and you can see that there's various versions of node we can choose. The IntelliSense is really excellent on this. I don't want to undo. Right, that's correct now. And then we tell it, okay, we're going to tell it where the code asset is. Now this is really pretty amazing because we can just specify a file on our local machine. And what the CDK is going to do, it's going to zip up that file and move it up to an S3 bucket and make it available for our Lambda function. So that is absolutely superb. So you'll see I need a directory here called Lambda. So here it is. And inside Lambda, I wrote something called index.ts, and that's our Lambda function. So let's take a look at that quickly. So here's our Lambda function. So we're exporting a function called handler, and it has an event of type any, and then we just take the event and do a console.log on it, and we use JSON stringify to stringify it. But that's all the Lambda function is. And going back to our library, we can see that we specify that the handler is a file called index under this directory Lambda and called handler. Yep. So we had that exports.handler, and so we can get hold of the file index.ts and it pick up the handler. And now we glue everything together. So here's our Lambda function. We can add an event source to it. So new event source, and we choose the SQS event source and the queue that we created up above, that's SQS. If you go back, we'll see the queue that we created. Remember up here, here's our queue. So this is basically it. There's we can build this. So oops, let me go back and build again. Yes, okay. So now we're okay, and we can do, now that we've built it, we can do a CDK diff. So there were no differences between what's already there and what I'm proposing to deploy, and we can do CDK synth. I can do, let's do it with JSON format. CDK synth -j. Yeah, and this gives us the cloud formation template, which you can see is quite long. And this is what we would have had to written if we were using CloudFormation. And some of the things in there, for example, are security, creating IAM security. Absolutely brilliant, because it's quite a pain creating those. Okay, so now we can deploy. Let me clear that and do CDK deploy. So it's creating the CloudFormation change set. It may be smart enough to know that nothing has changed. Let's see. But this is absolutely brilliant compared with other means of programming AWS, either using the console or using the SDK. This is much improved. So let me end there.